welcome back everybody for another episode of Trade Secrets. This is the video series where I talk about those trade paperbacks, those hardcovers, those collected editions, omnibus type stuff, just those trade paperbacks that you should really be aware of, because some of these things actually sell for a bit more than you might actually expect. And these are things that you can find outside of your comic shop. You can find them in used bookstores, whether you hit a Goodwill, flea markets, yard sales, that type of thing. These are some sort of under the radar type collectibles that you can actually make a few bucks if you know what you're looking at. So with that all said, I got another selection of books to run down for you this week. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you're curious about the Whatnot product, like the app and the application, please take a look at the link down below. No strings attached. Use the link, sign up, $15 on me. Get whatever you want. You don't have to buy from any particular seller. You don't have to buy comics. You can buy whatever you want on the platform as long as you use that link below. And by doing so, you will help out the channel. So with that said, hopefully you're enjoying this, and let me know what you think. And if you want to see this week's books, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I will be right back. Alrighty then, let's take a look to see what books I got for you today. I know lately, by doing this series, and it's been a little while since I've done one of these, I've done a lot of like Transformers and a lot of similar G.I. Joe type things. I realize I've been focusing too heavily on some of those things, so try to branch out a little bit more and give you some more oddball things for you to go and look for. Starting off with the first option that I have for you here. We have Blood Hunt starting next week, so vampires will be taking over a lot of these Marvel comic books coming to start the summer, one of the first events of the summer. So let's get our Dracula action in play by looking at the Tomb of Dracula Volume 1. This trade paperback collected edition, I believe there are a few of these, but this particular one, I think it covers the, it's $25, as you can see, the MSRP. So if you buy it at the store, it would cost you $24.99. This collects the first 12 issues of the original Tomb of Dracula run from the 70s. This thing, again, this was printed in maybe, I want to say 2010, thereabouts. So you could be able to find this out there. Like I said, you hit a used bookstore, even a Barnes & Noble near you. It might just be still sitting on the shelf for all this time. Who knows? But if you do, you can make yourself a couple of bucks. This one's not going to make you super rich, but still, you can look at some of these prices. It costs $25. You can get recent sales were $30 to $60. And yes, sometimes you can see copies sell for even less than that on eBay, with an auction ending at only like $11.50. Much like those comic books I say don't auction, if you are the seller because nobody's looking for them, I wouldn't be auctioning a lot of these trade paperbacks either. These are the type of things you want to be patient with. So you can see how you might be able to lose money or get yourself a deal if you find an auction and you want to take a shot at it. Because when you look at the listed copies, most of them are more in the $40 to $50 kind of range. Again, cost $25, so you can maybe double your money if you find one of these out in the wild, or you might find it for cheaper than the price. Like, I'm just telling you, that's the suggested retail price on the back of the book, which a lot of places will charge, but not every place charges that, depending on where you're buying, whether it's a used bookstore or a Goodwill or whatever oddball place you might find yourself that's not a comic book store or just like a regular retail bookstore that's selling new books with no discount. And even those might have a discount. I'm just saying. That's what we're looking at here, and that's the potential profit that you could make on a book like this. This is the only version of this that you can also look for. Marvel also has these essential trade paperbacks. These are generally larger, thicker. I believe even inside it's black and white print, so it's not even color comics inside, but it's the cheapest. And by volume, you get the most books you can possibly need. These things are thick for the price. So yes, might be black and white comics inside, but for $15, you get a lot of bang for your buck if you just want to read through some of this original Tomb of Dracula stuff, because you're not going to find a much better deal than that if you would have bought this new. But as you can see, just looking at the cover of this book, this collected edition for $15 collects the first 25 issues of Tomb of Dracula, number 15 for Werewolf by Night, and Giant Size Chillers number 1. That's 27 comic books in one little thing, and it only costs you $15 if you were to buy a brand new. This collected edition, essential collected edition, collected the whole of Dracula. So there is also another volume, volume 2, which collects the next 25 or so issues, going with Tomb of Dracula 26 to 49, Giant Size Dracula 2 to 5, and Doctor Strange number 14. Keeping it going, this series did run 70 issues, so this series gets wrapped up with volume 3 here, collecting issues 50 to 70. Again, this one and the last two cost $16.99, so they did charge you a little bit extra for the newer versions. But issues 50 to 70 and Tomb of Dracula magazine 1 through 4. So again, you're getting a lot of stories and a lot of, comics / magazine, stories for this cheap price. And if you think that's the end, it's not, because that was the first volume of Tomb of Dracula. We did get some Dracula coming in the more recent times. So here we got volume 4, the last volume of these essential books, which collects the magazine stories from issues, 2 to 6, Dracula Lives 1 through 13, Frankenstein Monsters 7 through 9, and other oddball odds and ends that they might stick into this book. Once again, a lot of stories for a very, very cheap price. And if you were able to get these for cheap, you could actually make a few bucks, because people do like these and do collect them. As you can see here, recent sales, you got volumes 1, 2, and 3, best offer on $65. All 4 volumes I just showed you sold for $200. Volume 2, $35. Volume 1, $33. So it's basically selling double that MSRP number plus. So anywhere from like $30 to $50 for any of these trade paperback volumes of essential Tomb of Dracula. And when you look at the asking prices, yes, you might find cheaper. You could see volume 3 is only looking for $19. And then you've got, volume 4, I believe, down at the bottom, looking for about $44. And then you got sets of all 4 looking for $180 and $210. Point being, if you could find them, especially if you can get all of them, you put them in a lot, you might be able to make yourself a nice little profit just by picking up these cheap collected editions and then just going out there and flipping them for, like I said, a nice little profit. All right, that's enough on Dracula. Enough on Dracula for today. But let's stick within the darker corner of things and look at Spider-Man Noir. Yes, we are supposedly getting some sort of series out of Amazon, which has spiked the Spider-Man Noir comics, the first prints and the initial runs again. In addition to the fact that he appeared in the last 2 animated Miles Morales Spider-Man movies. So that's where we got our Spider-Man Noir frenzy started. But those comics are expensive. So trade paperback could be a cheaper alternative, unless we're talking about this particular volume, because even at $25 of a buy-in, this collects both miniseries of Spider-Man Noir 1 through 4, and Edge of Spider-Verse number 1, which was the the series that brought us Spider-Gwen with issue 2, but he was on the cover of issue 1. This is a nice little collected edition, complete collection of your Spider-Man Noir stories so far, and it does all right. You can see copies of this has sold for as cheap as $50, but then the other two, $125, $130 for this $25 trade paperback. Asking prices about $120. So this is easily $120, $125 find if you can find one out there. Again, these are those weird things can be tucked in corners. People might not know what they have. You might not even know what you're looking at. These are the kinds of fun little things that could just still be hidden out there because it's a trade paperback. It could be even at your El Siestas, up on a shelf, just sitting there because they bought it when it initially came out and it just sat collecting dust because somebody missed it. They didn't see it, didn't notice it was there, buried in a box, put back out with the rest of the stock. Who knows? Who knows where you might find it? But the point is, if you know what you're looking for, you might find something that's worth a few bucks more than you might expect. Sticking with Spidey, this is Spider-Man Noir again, full collected edition. Good profit if you can find it. The next one is not so much because there's a big buy-in. The next one I want to show you is Superior Spider-Man, which, yes, we do have a current Superior Spider-Man run, which is, going back and telling some more stories with Doc Ock, as, Spidey, whatever. But the original run, very popular, underrated. People didn't really want it when it came out, so I think it caught a lot of people off guard once they realized how good the stories actually were. And now you can get them all collected here in 2 volumes. This is volume 1, the complete collection, $40. $40 is not a cheap buy-in at all, but it does cover quite a few issues, as you can see, ASM 698 to 700, and then 16 issues of that first Superior Spider-Man run. And this is the first half. We do have the second half with Superior Spider-Man Volume 2, the complete collection, which was another $40. This collects the final issues of 17 to 33 and annual number 1 and 2. A lot of money to buy in. If you were to have bought it brand new and you were charged $40 a piece, again, you might find these cheaper somewhere. And if you do, you might count yourself lucky if you do find them, and you do find them for cheaper than that price, because as you can see here, individually, 40 to 60 bucks. So yes, they still maintain their cover price or more. And you can see the volume 2 is sold for 50 to 115 on its own. And then there we also have some lots listed. So we have the complete collection volume 1. It's looking for about 60 bucks, and then both volumes 116 and $125. Yes, it might have cost you 80 to get to 116 and 125. So that's a pretty big buy-in, but it's still a decent profit when you think about it. I mean, 80 to 125, that ain't bad. It's not bad at all. Again, if that's what it costs you, but you never know what you might find out there. Hopefully you find it cheaper than that. Another run that you might be surprised to see that the collected editions actually do as well as they do is the Brand New Day. Remember Brand New Day? A lot of people hated this. They hated this run. It's like they thought it was stupid, and the whole Mephisto and the whole taking away the marriage and Mary Jane. It was not the greatest moment in Spider-Man's history, but once again, these $40 collected editions, Volume 1 here, or Part 1, I guess, of Brand New Day, collects Free Comic Book Day, ASM 546 to 564, and then Swing Shift Director's Cut, some other comic in there. So a decent number of comics for that 40 bucks. Then there was a second volume that covered a few more books here. I'm not going to run through all of them. You can see there's a lot of books inside these things, as I'll show you down below. Volume 3, you got some Fantastic Four action when they're popping in here. Again, another 40 bucks, collecting another dozen plus issues. What is that? 78 to 91. Yeah, plus a few extras. So you're looking at least 15 to 16 comics inside there for that price. And then finally, Volume 4, with you got the Anti-Venom stuff. I believe running through this one as we're collecting issues. What is this? 592 to 601. So I think Anti-Venom ran through 2 of these volumes at least. And then you had Mr. Negative and a bunch of cool stuff that happened during this time, despite the fact that the baseline series and point of the story was kind of dumb with the Brand New Day. That all said, 40 bucks a piece for all of these volumes. What would you get for them if you did actually find these out there somewhere in the wild? Well, based off of some recent sales, you can see you might not make too much off of that first volume. Look, 35, 45 bucks. Not too bad. Even 60 bucks for that number 4 is only a little bit of a profit. 22 bids at auction. Once again, auction's a dangerous thing. About 140 for all 4 volumes, which then you do the math. If they were 40 bucks a piece, you're actually losing money on that. Fair enough. But sometimes you look at the asking prices, you can see the upside possibilities you might be able to get out of some of these. Maybe that guy who's got one listed for volume 1 for $80, they get that $80. Maybe, well, has the volume 2 there, or is that volume? Yeah, volume 2 for $22. Maybe you can buy that at a cheaper discount, and then later get a bit more. Volume 4 on its own, maybe person does get $106 for that, or $270 for the set of 4. Who knows? I'm just showing you what's actually sold, what's actually being asked for, and depending what you find when you're out there, just because the MSRP was $40 doesn't mean that that's what you're going to pay or find it at now. You go out there, you can find a book like this just stacked on a yard sale table for $5. Maybe not even $5. It could be $1. They could just have these books just $1. Who knows? A lot of people just like to get rid of things. So they're trash is your treasure. Who knows? Who knows? But let's move away from Spidey. Get over to Batman for a second. A lot of Batman trades that you can find out there. And again, you might be surprised what some of these can do. Yes, $30 would cost you this brand new, this Dark Knight Detective Volume 1. I believe there's multiple volumes of this run as well. This is basically collecting Detective Comics, right in that range, kind of like leading up to and into like Nightfall. So this is like pre-Nightfall type of stuff, I believe, during this run. Because I think Nightfall hit as you were nearing 600. No, actually, that mistake. No, somewhere there, 597, right? Anyway, where's that Batman? Losing my train of thought. Point being, Batman, Dark Knight Detective, Volume 1, if you find it, this trade could get you $120, $140. And then somebody sold volumes 1 and 2. Was that 1, 2, and 5? Best offer on 350. Point being, it's a lot of money for some trade paperbacks. But just this volume alone, listed 130, 140, $280. It's a lot of money for a Batman trade. Just saying. And again, you can find some of those other volumes. They might not do as well as this. First one seems to be pricier than the rest. So that's the one I would look for. Dark Knight Detective, Volume 1. And I'm trying to show you the covers of the ones you want to look for, because sometimes they do later printings. They don't do as well, and they have different cover art. It depends. Sometimes printing matters, like it's first print, second print. Other times, it may not matter all that much. Trade collecting is a weird niche. And there's a lot of crazy little tweaks and things that you might stumble into when you're looking at some of these. So I'm trying to make it as clear as possible the one you want to look for when you're out there. And you're out there digging, look for another book like this, Batman by Doug Mensch and Kelly Jones, Volume 1. I think there are 2 volumes of this series. This is the one I was thinking. I misspoke earlier when I was talking about Nightfall and all that stuff, because this is where we were getting more into that kind of area of time, because I believe Kelly Jones, was the cover artist that brought us up through Nightfall. But this is still early Batman stuff, 515, up through 535. Some missing here and there. This could do all right. Again, $40 buy-in seems like a lot, but look how much this could sell for. At auction, $83, $180 buy it now. At auction, $92. At auction, $157 plus. Asking prices, $140, $145, $440 for the pair of these 2 volumes. I'm going to get the volume 2 in a second. And then you can see there's also one at auction right now. It's got 5 bids on it. It's already up to $51, and it still has a few days to go. Let's look at volume 2. Volume 2, also a pretty cool cover. Doug Mensch, Kelly Jones. This 536 to 552. No, we're still not at Nightfall. I'm just keep wanting to talk about Nightfall, but we're not there yet. Point being, this collected edition also can do well. $400 for the pair. You can see Volume 1, Volume 2, best offer on $250. They didn't get quite as much. This one on its own, $70 to one person. $250. Oh, $250 is volumes 1 and 2 again. Even though they only show the picture of one of the volumes, you got to read the description sometimes, and you can see $250 is for both volumes. Still, it's a lot of money for this. On its own, $80. On its own, $150, $70 together. Once again, listed $440 for the pair. It's a lot. It's a lot, but who knows? That's because it's listed for. They may sell it, they may not. You can go fishing, and you can try to undercut if you want, and try to sell. I'll try to get it. If I got the pair, maybe I'll take $350 and just try to be more enticing that way. It's up to you. Depends on what you pay. Then you can make your own prices. With that said, what else do we got? We got a few more here. I'm not done yet. We've got Spike. So the complete series of Spike, $30. You could probably find the individual issues out there if you really go digging, but it could be kind of tough. It's only 8 issues after all, but still 8 issues for this complete Spike series. This goes along with like the Angel and the Buffyverse type stuff. But this was Spike's little limited series of only 8 issues. And for $30, now it can get you a bit more if you can find this thing. As we can see here, some sold copies, $100, $180, $80, $120. Those are some sales. Asking prices, $130 to $140 for this trade paperback that collects only 8 issues. And yes, would it cost $30, to buy it brand new, but that's a nice return, I think. Not bad, right? That's what is kind of fun about this. It's different than comics. The places you'll find these things, it's different than your normal comics. So just weird stuff that's it's good to know. Good to know. With that said, let's stick on the oddball side of things and the horror side of things. Clive Barker's Hellraiser Omnibus. So yes, this is going to be like a nice little hardcover omnibus of Clive Barker's Hellraiser. cost you 40 bucks. Seems like a lot. It collects Hellraiser 1 through 20, that whole series, which again started to do well when we got the new Pinhead and some talks of some new Clive Barker Hellraiser stuff. Oh, and the annual as well. So you got 21 books in there for only 40 bucks and a nice hardcover. It's not a bad deal. It's especially not a bad deal if you can find it for that price when you see what this thing can sell for. 165. Best offer on 180, $180. Those are sales. Asking prices, $500, $471, $509. Those oddball prices is because they're out of the country. They're in the UK and Canada, so it's the it's the currency exchange, which is why you say, why are they asking such a weird number? That's why. It's currency exchange. They're probably asking for $400 in euros, and it equates to 471 US, etc. I don't know the current exchange rates. I'm just ballparking in my head. But with that said, look at those asking prices. Even look at the sale prices for this thing. If you found this for 40 bucks, you get 160. It's 4 times your money. Not bad. And if you can get anywhere near the 500, geez, you're talking 10 times your investment. It's pretty good. Pretty good. And again, these are just weird things that you might be able to just score out there just by pure luck. Pure luck and knowing what you're looking at. With that said, let's pivot completely in another direction with our next one and look at Darkwing Duck and DuckTales. Now, talked about this individual comic with this cover, with this Gizmo Duck cover before, because the individual comic here does pretty well on its own, this Gizmo Duck stuff. But Dangerous Currency is 15 bucks for this collected edition. This only collects 4 issues, 2 issues of Darkwing and 2 issues of DuckTales for this little crossover event. 4 books, 15 bucks. But what does this sell for? I only found one sale, and somebody sold it for only $11.24. This is the other thing. Bookstores and online bookstores, they will sell a lot of these things for less than their cover price with free shipping. Like this, they'll have things you can tell just by the IBC numbers, and they have all these library type codes. You might be able to find some of this stuff. Like somebody here found this for a deal for only $11.24 because there's one listed. Look at what they're asking for that. $225. Just saying. Because with these trade paperbacks, it's a different market completely than just comic books. So these find their way into hands of regular booksellers and things like that who it doesn't matter. They find them at overstock in places and discount shops and closeouts and whatnot, and they just move it for whatever is on the back. They don't care about an aftermarket. They just try to move it for what they can get on the back of it, like some of these sellers here. Then you can in turn get that and match it with a marketplace that befits more what you know in the comic world. So it's all a matter of where to look. It's all a matter of where you look, and sometimes you can get lucky. With that said, one last one, and this is another weird one. Squadron Supreme. Now, this was Marvel's answer to the Justice League, for back in the 80s. I'm sure you guys remember this one. It collects Squadron Supreme 1 through 12 and a Captain America story. But the interesting, weird thing about this is the first printings of this trade paperback actually include the ashes of its creator. Yes, Mark Grunwald's sudden death in 1996. He was cremated, and then his ashes were mixed with the ink in the first printing of this book. It's an odd thing. It's a weird little point of history. But with that little oddity, this can get you a few extra bucks. As you can see here, $100, 160, best offer on 125 or some recent sales. Asking prices, well, you can find one that's only 70 bucks, but then others 175 all the way up to $300. Not bad for a trade paperback. This one, I believe you got to open it up to make sure that you got the first print, because I don't believe the ashes were included outside of the first printing. And I do think there's multiple printings of this that might look very similar. So you might have to open it up to double check this one. I'm not sure if it's on the back. You might have to check the indicia inside, indica, or whatever they call it. But with that said, it could be worth your time and effort if you can get to it. With that said, that's my selection of books for this week. Hopefully you found that interesting. Hopefully you find that helpful. Thanks for stopping by and checking this out. I know normally this is my slot to do hidden gems and chasing ghosts, but I did chasing ghosts last week and I didn't have a hidden gems ready to roll. So I decided to pivot and do one of these because it's been at least a month or so since I've done one. And just thought I'd throw this one out there for a little bit something different, a little palate cleanser, and then see what you guys think. With that said, come back tomorrow live for the tax show. Join the chat. We're going to be going over that Deadpool Wolverine trailer, going through some of the Easter eggs, some of the speculation books related to it. Continuing on with that, Dollar Bin Dinging. I'll try to get another one back out on its regular schedule on Thursday. New Hot 10 on Friday, along with the Qualified. SNS on Saturday. Dark Side on Sunday. And then Monday, we'll start it all over, and I'll give you the watch list. And if you haven't noticed, the Star Wars boys have been playing that Star Wars Unlimited card game, which is a little different for the channel. But it just seems people are interested. They want to know how to play. So the boys are playing a game live here and on Twitch. So if you like it, let us know. And let us know what more content you would like to see. I've been getting a lot of feedback on the toy stuff, that they want updates to some of the old toy videos that I did. And I think that it is overdue to get an update on some of those top 10 toys because, again, I missed some of the toys that might have sold or not sold at that time, and or the prices are different. Here we are a year or 2, 3 years later. So I will try to get some updates to the toy videos yeah, when I can. Just I want to prioritize based on what you, the audience, wants to see. So like I said, your feedback is invaluable and helps me focus. So I do appreciate it. So let me know in the comments down below. And again, I'll see you with some more content soon. All right, later.